August 19th meeting of the Hoover City Council, and ask the clerk to call the roll. Here. 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 If everyone would please stand. Roy, would you come down with your flag? The clerk will handle the invocation, and this is Mr. Roy Brooks. He's more famous than the mayor, I think, with his flag. We'll say the pledge. First, we're going to start with the invocation.
Thank you for looking after each person and being with them. Thank you for giving them comfort and understanding. We thank you for what White Gelati did for our city, our state, and our country, preserving our freedom and overcoming obstacles. Thank you for the city who is recognizing him in the name of the new 150 Bridge, being named after him as a memorial in his honor so that no one forgets and his family can see the love and support surrounding him. Thank you for what the council will be accomplishing today and giving them understanding in the matters of the city. Bless this meeting, all here, as well as the lives we will impact throughout our life. In the name of His Son, Jesus Christ, amen.
Roy? Attention. Salute.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Chair is open for a motion on the minutes.
Move for approval without reading.
Second. We have a motion, second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed nay. The ayes have it. Reports, recognitions, employee recognitions. Mayor, do we have anything tonight? Nothing? Okay. Well, Dr. Middlebrooks, you'd like to step down and do the honors, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight, especially the Gelati family here. Thank you for joining us for this occasion. We're so honored to have this bridge named in honor of Mike. I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. Mike was doing all the right things. He served his country, 2 tours in Iraq, came back here and was a valued member of the community, raising a young family, just everything you wish for. He wasn't doing anything wrong. And for the tragedy that happened, Hoover is one of the safest communities in the country. When tragedy strikes on our doorsteps, we rally around each other. So I want to thank the family for coming. And I'd be remiss if I left Heather out. And I've told her this recently, but her testimony following the days of this tragedy, when she went downtown and spoke at a Martin Luther King Jr. rally and spoke on forgiveness, it touched me and it touched a lot of people. So your faith and testimony, I hope we can all model that. And I'm going to borrow Roy Brooks' words here. It's a damn shame, that no one paid the price. No justice was served in this tragedy. But I pray for those young men. And as evil an act as they did, I got to believe that they're still savable through the blood of Jesus Christ. With that said, I'm going to invite the family to join me up here up front, and all the this was a total team effort from my peers up here on the council, the mayor, city staff, and our state representatives. Guys, would y'all join us up here, please? We have State Representatives David Faulkner, David Wheeler, and State Senator Jacko Wagner, and State Senator Dan Roberts. They were instrumental in getting this passed through the state legislature in record time, And without their help and leadership, it wouldn't have been possible. So I thank you, gentlemen.
Dr. Middlebrooks, go ahead for 1 second.
Sorry, I was unaware we have one more special guest here. D.A. Washington, can you come down? Denise Washington. Mr. Wheeler, you got a few words, and then our attorney can read the proclamation. Yeah, anybody you want to come on up, guys.
In behalf of the legislative delegation, I just want to thank everybody. It was an honor to be a small part of this. I never met Mike personally, but everything I've ever heard about him is an all-American guy. And I hope this signifies that Hoover will never forget him.
Philip, do you mind reading the resolution?
This is a resolution from the House of Representatives of the state of Alabama. Representatives David Wheeler, David Faulkner, Alan Farley, Louise Alexander, Vicki Drake, Jim Carnes, and Arnold Mooney, naming the bridge on Alabama Highway 150 between Ross Bridge Parkway and Lake Cyrus Boulevard in Jefferson County the Jonathan Mike Gelati Memorial Bridge. Whereas in honor of the life of the late Jonathan Mike Gelati, an outstanding citizen of Jefferson County, it is appropriate to name the bridge on Alabama Highway 150 between Ross Bridge Parkway and Lake Cyrus Boulevard in Jefferson County the Jonathan Mike Gelati Memorial Bridge. And whereas Mr. Gelati served the United States of America for 15 months in Iraq as a tank commander for the 212th Cavalry and as a first lieutenant in the U.S. Army with great honor and distinction. And whereas Mr. Gelati served his church and various civic organizations and was known for his patriotism, faith, and love for his family and his passion for the city of Hoover. And be it resolved by the legislature of Alabama, both houses thereof concurring, that the bridge on Alabama Highway 150 between Ross Bridge Parkway and Lake Cyrus Boulevard in Jefferson County is named the Jonathan Mike Gelati Memorial Bridge. Be it further resolved that we request the appropriate officials place and maintain appropriate signs on the bridge as provided in this resolution. And signed by Governor Kay Ivey, Secretary of State John Merrill.
At this point, I believe Mike's father, Mike, would like to say a few words.
Well, hello to everyone. We're here under circumstances this time that are, they're just so much welcome. I'm Mike's dad, of course, Mike Gelati, and let me introduce the family. I'm here with Heather, of course, Mike's sons, Russell and Kevin. Kevin was actually born here in Hoover. Also, Heather's parents, Guy and Paula Higgins. My wife and Mike's mom, Angela, as well as Mike's favorite aunt, and Pam, my sister. It's also his only aunt, too, so I know that. Unfortunately, as I looked around, we also have present some of Mike and Heather's friends, and some family, and some of our family friends as well, and it's great to see them all here. It's frankly really heartwarming and wonderful to return to Hoover under these circumstances for this dedication and to receive the warm greetings that we already have from so many. Some of us have been here in the last few years under the most adverse circumstances imaginable. And we always took some solace and comfort that we had the overwhelming support of this community. It meant a lot to us. The support, the kind words, they didn't go unnoticed at all, and we are grateful. And it genuinely helped us through some tough times during Mike's funeral, and of course, the subsequent judicial process and proceedings that followed the event. But now, to return for this dedication and recognition is a very special and wonderful experience. I should mention, and it's important, that we are aware of the efforts of the community as represented and orchestrated by the Hoover City Council in making this honor and dedication come to fruition. I do not know all the facts, the exchanges, the necessary influences, and the decisions that that led up to the acceptance of this resolution by the Alabama State Legislature. But from my previous experiences in similar matters, I'm aware of the time, the effort, the appeals, the crafting of documents, the getting consensus, the cost, and just the overall use of resources that go into such a successful effort. And frankly, if I was in the role and my family was in the role of the decision makers that made all this happen and the people in the community that supported, I think we want to know, we would like to feel that you made a good choice. That you all use your resources and perhaps even some political capital wisely honoring someone who deserves it. Well, time will ultimately tell and determine if you did. But I'd like to quickly share some of my perspective, and it's not only based on my long-term experience as the father of Mike and the family, but it's also from gathering so many others' input, especially since this tragedy occurred. The key question is, what was the essence of this young man that you've chosen to honor this way? Well, what I've learned in the last few years has just served to reinforce what our family has seen from Mike in his entire, at a very early age. His relentless dedication, his service to others, his character, and a respect for those around him has been echoed by the frequent comments and the context that we've received from all those he came to know. He had a genuine commitment to all he knew, whether personally or professionally. From his high school leadership days, his college and ROTC days, and certainly has commented his military life, including his service to our country in Iraq. His work environment, his community, his church, and of course, to his family. Through all, there was a consistent theme comprised of commitment, a striving to excellence, and a dedication to others. Mike was always someone that could be counted on, and thus many turned to him for support and guidance. And I think it's unusual given his very young age that this occurred. He had just great character, and he embraced very positive values, and more importantly, he really lived by them. In summary, let's make it simple. He was generally a very good person with great spirit, a great sense of humor, as many of you that know him, a little over the top at times for that, but indeed that was him. And he had a desire to contribute and always willing to help others. So I say to the council and the community, if I were going to honor someone in the impressive manner that this community has done, I want to feel secure in thinking I made a good choice, someone really deserving. So coming from those that knew him well, we can tell you, you all made a very good deal. And as I would say in my own business, this was a good trade. So thank you. On behalf of the family, I just want to say thanks again to all of those that were involved in this and all your efforts. We very, very much appreciate it. Thank you. Heather for a few words, and of course, as you all, so many of you know, she was a Hoover resident as well. Thank you.
I just want to take a few moments to thank City of Hoover residents, the police department, state legislature, and especially Casey Middlebrooks for facilitating this whole project. From the bottom of our hearts, we thank you so much for everything you've done. Hoover was the only place we lived as a family of 4. And we had lived here for 3 years before Mike had died, and we began to accept this place as home. And immediately after his death, we were overwhelmed with the outpouring of love and support from the Lake Cyrus community and Birmingham area. However, after experiencing the first trial and then having to come back for the second, I unfortunately began to associate Hoover with just painful memories. So when Casey Middlebrooks presented this idea to me about having a bridge named after Mike, I was immediately in tears. I could finally see a glimpse of hope and healing amongst all this pain. This was not just a plaque or a folded flag or a gravestone. This was an actual bridge that he was proposing. A bridge, to me, that signifies progress, a way to overcome obstacles, and really a journey from life to death. It was so fitting for the amazing man that I loved. It was perfect. So to be able to see it in person and know that so many people are going to frequent this on a daily basis, the same path that Mike took in the morning to go to the gym or work, it's just amazing. And that was the first thing I did when I came back to Hoover, was take the oldest, my 8-year-old, across that bridge, and we were silent in the car. Nobody said anything, and I was trying to hold back the tears. I didn't want him to see me cry, but as soon as we passed the bridge, he said, "Mom, that is so cool. Can we go back over it again?" I'm like, "Buddy, as many times as you want." So, the boys and I are just so grateful for you to have done this and just the support that you've showed us, that we have decided to spread Mike's ashes there in a private ceremony before we return home. I'd been holding on to these ashes for 3 years, just trying to figure out when and where was the best place to do this, and it just makes perfect sense. And after much prayer and discussion with the boys, it just made perfect sense. We were fully embraced here. The 4 of us lived here. And the ashes just reminds me of death. And Mike's life and legacy live on. He's alive. And I just pray that in the future this bridge will continue to serve as a symbol of hope and restoration, as this is what Mike would have wanted all along. Thank you.
Anybody from the dais have anything they like? Heather, Mr. Gelati, I'd like to say on behalf of the city, our part is somewhat minuscule compared to what the Lake Cyrus community did across the bridge, and Westwood, and all those people immediately around you. But I think that all of us would truly agree that Mike is now a true son of the city, not just having been arrested.
Once again, I thank everyone for coming tonight. Feel free to stay for the business portion of the meeting. Maybe we'll hear some comments from that as well. The Gelati family, thank you again for coming. It's our honor. At this point, I'm going to ask them to step out and Media, they have agreed to meet in the media room. If you have any questions for them at that time, take it up. Thank you.
If everybody would please stand and let the family exit first. Now, as anybody else would care to leave, we're going to take this time to allow staff to take down some of this other equipment. All right, we're going to continue at this time. We'll take your breath one. Next, we're going to work on our consent agenda. This is dealt with in great detail on work session night, Thursday before the Monday of the meeting. These are all what we consider housekeeping in nature. Because of that, we group them together. And with that, I'm going to ask Mr. Corley to read all the legalese required.
This is resolution number 604719 authorizes the mayor to enter into an agreement with Alabama Power Company for the relocation of a pole at fire station number 2.
We need to pull item 8. 7? I'm sorry, 8. No, 8.
Resolution number 604919 adopts an annual transportation plan for fiscal year 2020. Resolution number 605019 accepts right-of-way from Alabama Department of Transportation. Resolution number 605119 authorizes the police chief to enter into an agreement with the Department of Justice Drug Enforcement Administration. Resolution 605519 declares such property surplus. Disposal of such property. And item 13 on your agenda is the payment of bills.
Mr. President, I move for approval of the consent agenda, removing item number 8.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed nay. The ayes have it. Now let's move to item 8, resolution 604819. Mr. Corley.
This resolution authorizes Mayor Blocato to execute an agreement with Wilmington Trust, N.A. for custody administration services.
Mr. President, I move for withdrawal of resolution 604819.
Second. We have a motion second. Any questions from the council or from the audience? Seeing, hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed nay. The ayes have it. Moving on to resolution 605619, Mr. Corley. This is an addition from Thursday night. I'll go into it in just a moment.
Resolution number 605619 declares an emergency affecting public health, safety, or station number 5, located at 588 Park Avenue, Hoover, Alabama, that is preventing the usage of a portion of the fire station and affecting the city's ability to respond to emergency and essential services within the community.
Mr. President, I move for approval of resolution 5619.
Second. We have a motion second. Is Chief Bentley here? If you would give an explanation of what's going on while he's coming down. Since Thursday's work session, the chair became aware, really Thursday night, of a situation at fire station number 5 where there are concerns with the firefighters' health at that station. And only can we remediate it this quickly is by declaring an emergency.
Yes, sir, Mr. Smith, thank you. It was brought to our attention about a month ago that we had a moisture issue at Station 5 on the second floor dormitory room and the shower locker room area, also in the officers' quarters. We contacted Mr. Mattis with Building Services. He had someone come out to test the air there, and it did qualify for, it could possibly create a problem. We met with Mr. Mattis, the remediation company, and Mr. Tim Westover formulated a plan that we feel is safe for our firefighters who are working in, so that we don't have to relocate them, to have the second floor area remediated, to have the moisture removed, put back, and that we have a plan that's very safe, effective, and it will not disrupt service, fire service, EMS service, and both parking area.
Any questions from the council? Any from the audience? All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed nay. The ayes have it. Mayor, I think you and I both know that there's some guys we worked with back in the day that we could declare an emergency just when they took off their socks. So. Next is resolution 605219, Mr. Corley.
This resolution amends the budget for fiscal year ending September 30th, 2019, as set forth on the exhibit attached to the resolution.
Move to approve resolution 605219.
Second. Motion and a second. Dr. Lopez, please provide us a little explanation on these few items. You must be working you hard on the budget, moving slow. Where's the end tonight?
Yes. There are actually 5 items on here. There's the Coca-Cola sponsorship for the Parks and Recreation. That's just an in and an out, budgeting the revenue, budgeting the expense. That money will actually, this is for the first 2 years, and then there will be 3 additional years. We'll budget each successive year. Item 2 is just some additional funding that was necessary for a storage building at Fire Station 4 to cover the existing budget. Item 3 was the remediation that you guys just voted on for Fire Station 5. Item 4 was radio programming software for dispatch, we talked about last week. And then item 5 is the $37,000 needed to balance the general fund from those items. And then the one item for the remediation was coming out of capital projects fund.
Any comments or questions from the council? Any from the audience? Seeing, hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed nay. The ayes have it. Next we have resolution 605319, Mr. Corley.
This resolution authorizes Mayor Brocato to proceed with negotiation of preliminary and investment grade audit agreements with the Alabama Power Company for energy conservation measures and services.
Mr. President, I move for withdrawal of resolution 605319.
Second. We have a motion and a second to withdraw. This is going to allow one of the bidders to conduct a study. It's going to permit Alabama Power to conduct a zero-cost study for the city, much like one of the other bidders performed. So, this is the call of the chair.
Withdrawal.
Withdrawal. That's correct. We're going to come with a new one when it's time. Any comments or questions from the council? Any from the audience? Seeing, hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed nay. The ayes have it. Next we have ordinance 19-2453, Mr. Corley.
reading, and this ordinance rearranges, alters, and extends the city's corporate limits to include property owned by Black Ridge Partners LLC, as shown on the map attached to the ordinance.
Mr. President, I move for the adoption of ordinance number 19-2453.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. This is parcel 1 of 4. We'll see parcel 2 down the road here in just a moment. Questions or comments from the council? Any from the audience? Seeing, hearing none, Madam Clerk, you please call the roll.
Mr. Lyda?
Aye.
Dr. Middlebrooks?
Aye.
Mr. Murphy?
Aye.
Mr. Posey?
Aye.
Mr. Shaw?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye. The ordinance is adopted. Next, we have first a public hearing for Resolution 604019. Mr. Corley.
This resolution grants a conditional use to Alabama Power Company to own the residence at 2177 Samuel Pass in the Reynolds Landing community as a demonstration home for emerging technologies as we continue to test and gather data related to electrical and solar applications.
This is a public hearing. Does anybody care to speak for or against? Mr. Patterson, I see you moving around now. Okay. I will say that this is going to allow Alabama Power to own this dwelling. They're going to be buying it from the Noel family. Nothing else to say. We will close the public hearing, and I'm open for a motion.
Mr. President, I move for approval of the conditional use.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Once again, any comments or questions from the council or the audience? Seeing and hearing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Lyda?
Aye.
Dr. Middlebrooks?
Aye.
Mr. Murphy?
Aye.
Mr. Posey?
Aye.
Mr. Shaw?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye. Resolution passes. Next, we have ordinance 19-2452. Mr. Corley, and then we're going to have another public hearing.
So this is the second reading of ordinance number 19-2452, which amends Hoover's zoning ordinance by rezoning property owned by Mr. Brian Goolsby, located at 2807 Wisteria Drive from C2 Community Business District to CP Preferred Commercial Office District.
Once again, we're going to start with a public hearing. Is there anybody here to speak for or against? Sir? Come on down. If you come down, we've got 672 at last count watching on YouTube. They're going to want to hear you.
Taylor Burton, Taylor Burton Company, 3239 Lorna Road. We've been hired by Mr. Goolsby to go through this process and build the office space. And started out looking at the zoning and realized we could get what we wanted and get what the neighbors wanted with the change of zoning. So that's the direction we've gone. And that's, be happy to answer any questions you have.
I suppose things went pretty well at planning and zoning.
They did. We met with the neighbors about a month before that and kind of hashed out everything they wanted and I think accommodated them and presented that to the planning and zoning.
Mr. Shaw, I believe there are some addendums.
Right.
We will get to that.
Yeah, after the motion.
Vote itself.
But I would like to say, and I mentioned this to Mr. Burton after the planning and zoning meeting, I wanted to commend you for how you approached this and both in working with the surrounding community, but also in working with the zoning process for the purpose of what it's designed for, and that's for appropriate use of land in a close to a residential area like that. That was very impressive. We don't see that very often, so thank you.
Thank you.
Either insurance or an ice cream shop.
That's right.
Anyone else care to speak during this public hearing? Hear thunder. All right, this will end the public hearing, and chair is open for a motion.
Mr. President, I move for adoption of ordinance 19-2452.
Second.
All right, what addendums do you have to include with your motion, Mr. Shaw?
Well, it's as presented, but we don't need to include that in the motion, do we, since it was included in
Mr. Mack,
the ordinance?
does it need to be verbally included?
Exhibit B to the ordinance.
Okay.
So,
I can
Present if desired.
Well, as long as you say Exhibit B is attached.
Exhibit B is attached.
Thank you, sir. And gets paid by the word. Any Any other questions from the council or the audience? Seeing, and hearing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Wyatt?
Aye.
Dr. Millbrook?
Aye.
Mr. Murphy?
Aye.
Mr. Posey?
Aye.
Mr. Shaw?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye. The ordinance is adopted. Next, we have first reading of ordinance 19-2454. Mr. Corley.
This ordinance rearranges, alters, and extends the city's corporate limits to include property owned by Black Ridge Partners, LLC, as shown on the map attached to the ordinance.
And next, we have a first reading and the setting of a public hearing for September 3rd of Resolution 605419.
This resolution declares the following properties as public nuisances due to weeds and/or grass: 2039 Arnold Road, Hoover, Alabama; 2874 Wisteria Drive, Hoover, Alabama; and 2384 Chapel Road, Hoover, Alabama. The orders the abatement thereof as provided under Alabama law.
Mr. Wyatt? Any changes? Very good, thank you. Comments or questions from the council?
Mr. President, we have a scout in the chamber tonight. Would you entertain the opportunity for this young man to
Yes,
stand up
sir.
and
If I'd
introduce
have known
himself?
he was here, I'd have brought him down with Mr. Brooks for the pledge.
Would you mind standing, introducing yourself, please, and telling us what troop you're from and what you're working on, please? Come on down.
Hello, my name is Henry Archer. I'm from Troop 367, and today I'm here to work on my citizenship in the community, merit badge, and communications.
Welcome to the Hoover City Council. We're glad you're here. Thank you.
Sir, where does your troop meet?
River Chase United Methodist.
Reputation United Methodist. You've got 627 people watching you on YouTube right now. Would you like to try to attract any more scouts to your troop? Try to get them to join
What's
the
your
scouts?
pitch? What's your pitch?
I've got a pitch about Boy Scouts. Bring them on. Thank you. Anything else from the council? Just looked at the weather app and we may need to draw this out. That or hurry.
We got umbrellas.
That or hurry out of the parking lot. Oh, yeah, we got about 20 seconds. So, anything else from the council? Dr. Middlebrooks? Mayor, do you have anything?
Yes, I do have a few things. First, I do want to, again, thank you for what you did. That's one of the nicest things I've seen come from this body, history of Hoover. I think it was really a wonderful thing that you did. You took that on. And
I gotta reiterate, Mayor, though, this is
I
a
know.
total team effort.
But it always starts with one person. And, so you are to be commended for that. Got a great heart. Then, I would like to tell everyone about the ice cream social. If y'all don't know about it, mine and yours, 6 to 7:30. Is that correct? All the ice cream you can eat.
Is it in the circle where usual? Yeah. All right.
And we are working very hard on the budget, getting very close. We'll be working with the finance chair to hopefully establish something, maybe August 26th for the hearings. Of course, that's open to the public. And then we will be prepared to bring a budget before this body the 29th. So look forward to that good bit of work by everyone. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone from the audience have anything to say this evening? Y'all are easy to please. We're adjourned.